Welcome to another episode of Price Targets with your host Bitcoin Jack. Welcome back. It's going to be interesting today. Market's setting up for a very beautiful breakout, in my opinion. We're going to talk about Bitcoin because I think it needs some direct attention, Ethereum, and obviously we need to talk about Backpack. I'm going to show you a few things on the exchange that are that's very cool about a bunch of features that I think, are reasons to come to Backpack that other exchanges don't have. So we'll dive into that. I'm just going to start out with Bitcoin real quick. Last week, we identified the level here, this small consolidation as a level to hold. So if you analyze the low time frame move, it's a move up, pullback, another move up, consolidation, and then a move up. So essentially, this whole thing was your first leg of the expansion that's about to come. And currently we're in a sideways consolidation gearing up for upside. I think the whole consolidation was the three waves we had here. And this was already the first leg of the next expansion. So basically wave 2 after wave 1. So this is just the waiting room. There's no reason. I mean, we had a little bit of pullback here. A bunch of people got a bit scared of ES pulling back here. And that was related to fears of liquidity issues in the treasury market because of no bid on the 3 and the 6 month. Maybe that's an issue on the larger scale things, but I don't think it's going to be an immediate issue. It's probably just more like early signs of pressure. If you remember, I talked about August as a period in time where we're going to experience some downside volatility, give or take a month. So I guess we're working up towards that, and any bearishness is going to be bulldozed over in the meantime. Anyone positioning short is going to squeeze to the upside. And then eventually, once everyone got squeezed to the upside, we're probably going to run into some issues that are going to cause a larger correction, a very sharp, large correction to the downside that will be for buying. So if we go back to the Bitcoin chart, this is this consolidation here has been broken out. I think this was the bottom of the consolidation at 98K. This entire move up was the move that got extended a little bit. Generally, I would have assumed this would have been the end of it, around this consolidation here, around here. But Bitcoin often extends, doing this extra little leg up. And it held this level here and this level here. So amazingly bullish, a very shallow retrace, essentially, if you measure it with, with Fibonacci. That's, it didn't even actually hit the 0.382, which is a shallow retracement, meaning that the next leg up is going to be very, very sharp and steep, in my opinion. In my opinion, this move here, all the way up here, so from 98 to 108, that's our first leg of the next expansion. Just going to zoom in a little bit. Essentially, move up, steep correction, move up, sideways consolidation, move up. And then this particular move here was our corrective phase. So 3 moves, 1 down, 1 up, another 1 down. And then the reaction here was our first leg of the next leg after this leg, if that makes sense. So essentially, we're in a sideways consolidation after an impulse up, and this is looking to start breaking out any moment. And I would assume it's going to happen once we start crossing this line here, the trend line, and the 2 resistances, green and red, around 110K. Larger picture, that means that things are gearing up to become excessively bullish, generally this next leg is at least going to hit the 1.618. So this is drawn from the low here to the high here to the low here. So one leg, and then we measure the extension to the upside. At minimum, in my opinion, this is going to hit the 1.618. And I think because we're in a bullish market that's going to extend so hard, we need to do it on a logarithmic scale, which pulls up our target to 190. My expectation here is that we're going to go towards 200, 220, 230. And then depending if the market actually, hits my price prediction model, then we're screwed. So I hope this is going to be not too fast, and that the average price paid for Bitcoin on chain is going to keep rising steadily as we go up, and that we don't chase it too fast. First stop where I expect market to consolidate or do a pullback is around 144. In this case, 147 when we use the Fibonacci. So anywhere between 144, 155 is a place where I expect market to start consolidating. And that makes me exceptionally bullish. ETH BTC, we talked about it last week. Its reaction has been extremely beautiful. We said we need to keep the level at 0.022 full and then start reclaiming levels. I think that's exactly what we're doing. This is just a sideways bleed upwards, and this is gonna go up. I think ETH is gonna start ripping once it gets, once it gets beyond 2,900. There's so many shorts open in this market of ETH that it's just gonna do the same cascading thing that we saw happening from 1,700, 1,800 upwards. And here you can also see it's just like a sideways bleed upwards, unleashing this massive short cascade upwards. So kind of expecting that, the same to happen here. If we take away this is essentially either the consolidation here or the consolidation here. So I'm really positive on ETH. We're probably not far away from a giant expansion there. Something funny last week is that there was a lot of short interest on Solana. And Armani is talking about it. Armani is the CEO of Backpack. Essentially, what's happening is people are so short Solana, and it's coming down already, but you can get like a 30% return right now on a yearly basis if you actually are long Solana. And the problem with regular exchanges is that if you're long and you get paid the 30% yield, you still have exposure to your longs, which could go down, which kind of erases that kind of specific yield, right? The thing you can do on Backpack, which is really cool, you can go into the spot market, and you can, in the spot market, you can use margin. So if you own the asset, you can sell it on margin, and then you can long the asset on futures, and you will get paid that yield. On top of, if you have auto lending on, and you have USDC, you also get just general profit API. So it's a really cool way of actually doing arbitrage on the short bias of the market. Whereas if you would just purely long it because people are so bearish, and you just purely long it because the funding is negative, you still have the risk that the asset will actually sell off. Solana is actually looking really good to me anyway. So I'm going to dive into that in a little bit and explain how Solana looks. But this is something that you won't be able to do on different exchanges. And because you can all do it like from this one wallet, where you have your margin and your futures and your spot all combined on a cross basis. That's, there's no other exchange that will offer you that. So reason to come to Backpack. Oh, the other thing, Mad Lads, floor is rising. So if Backpack launched their season 2, so there's going to be new regions available to the exchange. So there's more people coming on. There's people depositing money into it, and if you own a Mad Lad, you get your trading fees reduced significantly. So it makes a lot of sense to own a Mad Lad. And if this growth is going to continue, obviously Mad Lads will kind of break this whole downtrend and start trending upward. So that's, I think that's really cool. It makes a lot of sense, and it's a community thing, right? So I think Mad Lads will appreciate a ton, and as Backpack grows. Back to the chart. So we talked about Bitcoin and ETH, and then I really like to talk about Farcoin every week, but last week I was not really sure whether this was going to hold up or not. This is starting to look like quite a large consolidation pattern, like a bull flag trying to get ready to rip. Essentially, it's a copy of what Bitcoin's doing, and it's just a matter of time before it happens. So if we draw on this and we basically say that this was, the entire bullish move up, then we should be able to kind of figure out where that's going to lead us. Because this is a new asset, I don't like to draw it on a logarithmic scale. But let's say this was the entire move, and the bottom is here. The 1.618 extension is at $3. So I think that if this breaks out, and now we obviously need to redraw the lines like that, then we're in for a good ride to new all-time highs on Fartcoin. So definitely a reason to start looking on the lower time frames. It seems that this could come down back to $1. Would make a lot of sense to bid $1 and aim for $3 on a larger time frame. We spoke about Solana last week. Downtrend. I wanted to see the downtrend being broken, but I also wanted to see like 158 to be regained, and it's looking like it's got a shot. So essentially here, I'd say the invalidation is below 126, and the target is going to be where the market rejected last time, which is essentially it trapped a bunch of people up here, and then there is a block here that got a lot of people long that might still be holding. I don't know. People are weird. But in my opinion, that would be the target. So that's a decent trade in my opinion. It's so busy out here. That's good. That's a good risk reward. Larger time frame trade. Makes a lot of sense that if Bitcoin starts to break out, that we're going to see that. No reason for me to be bearish. ES, still on its way to 6,900. I don't think there's any reason to believe that's going to change. I've been telling everyone to close their shorts if they still have them. I know quite a few people who are actually short. no reason to be bearish here. There's absolutely nothing structurally to even think about shorting. You're pretty much catching a moon rocket, like an inverse knife, and that's just going to be quite painful in my opinion. Yeah, this one is a beauty. Last week's setup, we spoke about long below the level here, below the wick at 110 into the green box, and then a reaction to the upside with a target of 155, the little box here. And that's just looking like what we're doing. Let me just remove a bit of the clutter. Just going to keep that. What I'd say is that this is our first leg up, and then this is the consolidation. That means we need the target, because the show is called price targets. We draw it up here, and this was the low of the correction. A 3-move consolidation, and this looks impulsive again. So I think that we're already starting the next leg. The 1-to-1 extension is at 155, so that's a nice confluence. But the real target, in my opinion, would be around 185, after which it wouldn't surprise me to see some kind of pullback into 155 again or lower. But generally, target 1, target 2, bam, easy. Tron season hasn't really been firing up. Our beloved Trumpy coin, I think it's about to break out here. It's still doing like the bottom consolidation thing. Might get the low here at 0.886. That would be a place to load up more that we spoke about last time. Up here, I would just, slowly accumulate this thing. I imagine there's going to be a lot of shorts getting stopped out once this starts dripping. My opinion, this goes to $16. So a double makes a lot of sense to me. If that makes sense to you. Let's see, what else do we have that I find interesting? I was thinking about MicroStrategy, and it's a shame that I thought I drew some stuff on a chart and I thought it was this chart, but it isn't. No. Well, I don't know. Anyways, the double bottom is very telling. Most of these bottoms on MicroStrategy have shown a double bottom pattern, like here, and then here, and then here, and here, and then we have it again here and here. So in my opinion, this is just gearing up for the next leg. I love to use the Fibonacci extensions because that's pretty much all we have during price discovery. I think this is gonna go to 1,000 pretty shortly as things start to break out. We can draw a nice horizontal line on this. You can see it here. Once it starts to break out, it goes vertical. Can do the same here. Once this breaks out, it's going to go vertical. So 1,000 as the target. Your stop loss would be below here if you want to take it very wide at 225, and your target is 1,000. So that's still a decent risk to reward trade. You could just buy it at spot market here, and then I think that's a decent trade. There's going to be a ton of interest in Bitcoin, in my opinion, if the general market stays bullish, which is my expectation. So owning this stuff makes a lot of sense. I do think that MicroStrategy's outperformance will kind of diminish slightly in turn, like relative to Bitcoin, as Bitcoin starts to heat up. But 1,000 is very conservative here, in my opinion. So let's go. Kind of sad about hype not really still not really managing to break out, but it's doing nothing that really gets me worried. We're holding the levels here and we're consolidating below resistance. Essentially, what we said last week is that if you manage to hold above 40, then it's game on for upside, and it seems just to be in the waiting room for that to happen. So level tapped here at 37, that's the place to bid, maybe slightly lower if you want to get some wick fills at like 36, 35. But I think this should target new highs at 47, 48, and then 55. Much higher later, but in the short term, that's a trade I'd take. I'm not really sure about gold. It could go either way here. Maybe I think it's still going to go higher, just purely based on liquidity. We thought earlier about the price going to 2,800, and at some point with all the war escalation, I thought that was not going to happen anymore, and I remain of that opinion for now. This just seems to be a resistance that we're just going to tap a few times. And if we come into 34.30, it's going to be our fourth attempt at it. And I think that's where it's going to, maybe do one more little curvy and then upwards. Target is 3,800 based on simply doubling the range that we've been ranging in. So you can draw it something like this. You can find your own specifics on that, but generally at this point in the cycle, I would prefer, just saying that the expansion is going to be somewhat, adding the range to the breakout. And then this piece of shit, I don't know if it's gearing up for the thing that I expect it to do. I'm still holding this. I think these guys are trying to become like a Bitcoin bank, just like MicroStrategy, and do like this tokenization thing and get into the TradFi liquidity flywheel, if that makes sense. Anyways, I think that was it. I think that was 23 minutes with some decent, cool information. I would suggest that you check out Backpack. There's going to be, I'm expecting there to be an airdrop for the tokens and the points that you score doing anything on the exchange. Season 1 was quite decent for me in terms of points, and I think I will be rewarded for it. Season 2 opened, and there's a bunch of new regions, so you can join and get your points outside of the fact that it's just, probably one of the best exchanges out there, and we need you to come and add liquidity so that this thing can actually become a top tier exchange. So use my referral link. I'll put it down in the description below, and I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.